Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today we've got some updates from DICE regarding next week's patch. Now, if you're paying attention to the news yesterday, you'll know that there's a pretty good chance Sundan on Conquest is going to be delayed and will not hit the 27th release date goal. Chapter 4 is still launching as intended, but Sundan in Conquest has a pretty good chance that it will be delayed, potentially along with some of the other smaller game modes. Now, DICE is going to keep us in the loop and they're going to try and get this to us, but they wanted us to know that there's a good chance that at least the Conquest mode, potentially more, will not make it out due to bugs and quality issues with the map. Obviously, this is upsetting news with players eager for any sort of new map content. Getting a single map delayed is kind of a big hit for the community overall. DICE knows this, obviously they're aware of it, so hopefully they'll be able to get the map up and running as soon as possible. Luckily, we are still getting Chapter 4 starting, so there'll be a whole new wave of progression things to unlock, probably weapons and stuff like that. Now, in the meantime, they have given us a preview of their patch notes. Mind you, these patch notes are not the full patch notes, but they are a preview of what they know will be included in the patch coming with Chapter 4. And there's some pretty big stuff in here, some very core elements on major game balance issues and whatnot. So, pay attention. First and foremost, the plain sound bug should be gone in the next patch. Thank God for that. I feel silly thanking DICE for fixing an issue that they created in the last patch, but this was a really annoying issue on any map that had airplanes, creating a universal plane sound that you would just hear all the time wherever you were, making it really hard to just hear anything else in the game. So hopefully that will actually be fixed. They've also addressed an issue with the Churchill crocodile tank where you couldn't repair the turret after being disabled, and a few other issues with it. When it comes to weapon changes, the boys AT rifle is allowing you to keep a round in the chamber, so when you replace the 5-round magazine, if you still have one in the chamber, you'll have a potential of 6 total shots. The medium range scopes with it now are going to have scope glint, so those dang prone boys AT rifle guys should be a little bit easier to see. They're also making universal improvements to the bipod, so this will affect the boys AT rifle, but anything else that requires a bipod, specifically medium machine guns, they are going to have more reliable deployments across the board. I assume we'll be getting more specifics on how that works with the more detailed patch notes next week, but any improvement to the bipod system is good news, because regardless of how you feel about medium machine guns, the implementation of the bipod system in Battlefield 5 is one of the worst in-game mechanics I've seen, and so any love or any attention that it gets is going to be generally beneficial for all players. More changes are coming to health and ammo crates. You might remember that they implemented an aura system with the last patch, but they didn't really implement a scoring system for that last time around, which was a bit weird. This time, the changes include being able to see players that are holding health or ammo crates. This is actually a feature, I believe, in previous Battlefield games. So if somebody has it selected, you'll see them holding a health or ammo crate when they run around. They've also increased the deploy radius to 4 meters, and the ammo crate will now provide both primary and secondary ammo, with scoring now offering similar values to health crate. They've also changed the collision behavior of both crates so they can be placed on vehicles and stick during movement. This was one of my favorite things to do in previous Battlefield games, is throw it on a dirt bike or something like that and basically replenish your gadgets like C4 and stuff while driving around and chucking it at people. So if that mechanic comes back, then great. I love some of the goofier but fun meta of Battlefield. Anti-personnel mines, the bane of Battlefield 5 right now, aside from MMG meta, really, but AP mines just make me rage every single day, every time I play Battlefield 5. They're seeing some big updates here that should hopefully allow good players to dodge AP mines and not let people cheese them quite so much. First and foremost, players will not be able to place them directly next to each other anymore. They now have a 3.6 meter radius that they have to be away from one another. Also, they will despawn upon death, provided that you're not revived. So if you bleed out after dying, your AP mines will go away and you'll have to deploy them on your next life. So this will change drastically how many AP mines are littered throughout the map, and if you kill a player, you shouldn't, well, until they actually bleed out, you shouldn't have to worry about their AP mines. You'll still probably have to shoot them in the short term to get rid of them before you run over them. Also, the detonation mechanics are changing. So previously, they would detonate 0.7 seconds after going into the trigger radius. Now it's going to be 1 second, so they've added 300 milliseconds to the detonation time. And on top of that, they've changed the blast radius so that because they're kind of like bouncing betties, they bounce up in the air and kind of shoot out shrapnel around, intended to, I guess, hit you in the upper chest or head. Now if you go prone after you trigger one, you should be able to avoid damage altogether. This actually adds a skill element to them, so if you're fast enough on the reaction and you can pull off a prone dive as they go off, you might be able to save yourself from receiving any damage altogether. Very cool. I like it. It's actually adding some meta behind this. Players will also be limited to 2 anti-personnel mines placed at once in total. There's also going to be updates to the blast radius, although we'll have further details on that in next week's patch notes. Overall, this is a very good change. I would like to see a visibility adjustment to them as well, since you can literally put them in a bush to the point where nobody will ever see them. That would be nice, but if the delay triggering on them is enough to allow skill players to dodge damage, that might be enough. But again, if an AP mine is on the side of a hill and it's in a bush and you can't see it and you go prone, but because it's on the side of a hill, you're still in the blast rate, it could lead to some sort of annoying side effects where maybe going prone isn't the best strategy to avoid them. But ultimately, we'll see. It might also be a case where you can actually get away from them further now because you'll have 300 extra milliseconds to sprint away. So we'll see what happens. It really depends what they're doing with the blast radius to change things up. When it comes to the downed state in Battlefield 5, when you're waiting for a revive or something like that, players can now actually bleed out a lot faster in 2.5 seconds if they elect to bleed out. And if you choose to hold on for a medic, you can now hold on for a total of 25.6 seconds as opposed to the previous 21.33 seconds. So basically, you can bleed out faster if you want to now, and you can hold on for longer, giving players a little bit more agency over things. You won't be able to spawn in faster if you bleed out quicker, but it will get you to the deployment menu a little bit faster if you really want to change up your kit or modify stuff and get back in the action quickly. So you have that as an option now. Firestorm changes. Firestorm players will find that weapon skins now apply when playing in the mode per your company selection. Hey, this is really cool. Now if you complete weapon mastery assignments or you just unlock cool skins in the menu, they will apply to Firestorm. Since there are players who are really only interested in Firestorm, having weapon skins here is kind of a big deal. They've also been able to incorporate manual leaning into Firestorm following the introduction to core multiplayer last month. The Commando Carbine, VGO, and LS-26 can now be found on Halvoy 2. So basically, we got some new weapons. I like that the Commando Carbine is coming into Firestorm. This is going to add some cheeky meta to the game for sure. If you want that stealthy meta, people not being able to find you or locate where your shots are coming from, that could be pretty cool. The VGO, it's just another MMG. We'll see how it plays in. If it has more ammo than the MG42, that could actually be a pretty lethal weapon. The LS-26, I'm less impressed with. I think it's going to fit a similar role as the FG42 in that 20 rounds really isn't that much, and it can get you killed often if you're going up against a player with full level 3 armor. So I tend not to run with 20 round magazine weapons, as it'll get you killed a lot of the time, but DICE is adding another 20 round weapon to the game. We'll see how it plays. I was hoping that maybe we'd hear something a little bit more about bolt action rifles in there, getting some higher powered optics. Not having anything over a 3x magnification, I think really robs Firestorm of some of that long range sniping meta that so many other battle royales enjoy. And Battlefield's always had really good long range sniping meta. It would be really nice to see that come into Firestorm in a stronger way. Now, when it comes to TDM map design, apparently we're going through some pretty big changes on many of the maps. Aerodrome, Devastation, Narvik, and Fiel 652 are all seeing some pretty big changes, with more details in the patch notes next week. The overall goal of these changes are to increase the intensity and give people a more consistent experience when playing Team Deathmatch overall by reducing the size of the combat area and also putting focus on specific map locations. Cool. Sounds good. I can't say I've played too much TDM, but maybe that's because of the issues that DICE is trying to fix here. So definitely we'll have to check it out after this patch. Changes are coming to Frontlines, which is a little bit odd considering that they've removed Frontlines as a game mode from Battlefield 5 and it only exists in the Grand Operations game mode at the moment, although I guess Frontlines can come back as a limited time mode at some point in the future. There's no question about it, Frontlines does not play out well in Battlefield 5 in its current state, usually suffering from not enough time to get between objectives, just poor objective play in general, bad map layout and whatnot. DICE is going to be focusing on a lot of this, specifically round length, reducing the instances of objective ping pong, improving accessibility, and changes to vehicle spawns that ensure vehicles reach shifting front lines faster. So there's changes coming in, which is good. It should hopefully make the Grand Operations modes a bit more enjoyable, although it is only one round of a Grand Operations that is actually a Frontlines game mode, and I don't even know if all the Grand Operations have Frontlines. So these changes, although substantial for the game mode, probably won't be affecting that many people in Battlefield 5 in general. Now, because these changes were posted on Reddit, naturally some of the top comments or questions asked by people on the forum were, well, what about performance? Are there performance changes coming to Battlefield in the next patch? It seems like there will be some sort of changes, but the devs don't really want to get into too many details about whether or not it is fixed because they want to test it in a public environment and basically don't want to get our hopes up or expectations too high in case they overlooked something. That seems to be the general response from the community manager on that front. So it sounds like there probably will be some changes there, but how substantial they'll actually be is unclear at this point. And that kind of wraps it up for the patch notes preview. Let me know what you guys are most interested in seeing changing in the near future. I'm excited for the Chapter 4 launch. Disappointed that it sounds like the new map is getting a little bit of a delay. Hopefully DICE can get it all together, but if they're warning us that there's probably going to be a delay, then there probably will be a delay on that map, but hopefully not too long. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.